1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
Hey guys!
Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la. Oh, it's the Hake Report. The Hake Report. La la la.
So, what's up, guys? I am James Hake. This is the Hake Report, live in hour 4 of the Jesse Lee Peterson show stream on YouTube, D Live, shout out, guys, Mixer, and Periscope. Thank you, guys. And I do have a guest coming up for you. I'm going to announce it, but first, let me get this out of the way, make sure that you guys catch it. Church with Jesse Lee Peterson is Sunday, 11 a.m. U.S. Pacific Standard Time, here at Bond in Los Angeles. Our current location, we are going to be moving soon. It's undecided where and where, but we will keep you updated on that. 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. Rebuildingtheman.com/church. Make sure you subscribe to Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel on Jesse Lee Peterson's YouTube. He has 3 different YouTube channels. They're awesome. So, I want to get right into this. I have a guest for a little bit here. Vaush or Vaush. I think it's Vaush. Let me get his, turn on his mic for me. Is it Vaush?
It's Vaush. You nailed it.
Nice. You know, I learned that from Jesse, actually, because I was pronouncing it Vaush.
Jesse is a wise man, and we all benefit from his wisdom.
You know, that's true. And I am pleased to know that you're wearing a t-shirt, because I always get reamed for wearing t-shirts. And I saw an interview that you did with somebody else, and you were wearing like a suit and tie. I'm like, dang, I'm going to be underdressed tomorrow.
No, that's only for special occasions.
Right on.
Most of the time, listen, keeping it casual, it's nice. We're deconstructing, hegemonic values of dress code in professional settings. We're doing our work, you know?
Yeah, it's so white. You know, I don't know if it is white, though, because I heard, I get a lot of tips from YouTube comments and things that I see on Twitter and stuff, that it was not actually whites who first promoted this dressing down stuff. For example, Levi, the guy that created Levi's, started this thing about wearing jeans all the time rather than suits. So I've heard that it's other people than white.
I mean, jeans used to be the dressing up, right? I mean, that denim was really practical for all the manual labor folks used to do.
It was handy.
Nowadays, they're just uncomfortable unless you're wearing the stretchy fabric.
I know.
You know, the stretch fit, that's the good stuff.
Right.
That's the good stuff.
So Vaush is at Vaush. Vaush is out Vaush VAUSHV on Twitter. Also once known as Irish Laddie, I heard.
Oh yeah,
Cool
long
name.
time ago.
Previous guest on The Fallen State with Jesse Lee Peterson. Website Vaush.gg. Catch him on Vaush.gg/live and on the YouTube channel Vaush. Over 50,000 subs. Congratulations on your over 50,000 subs in just over a year.
Yeah, thank you. It's actually been a pretty wild ride. I'm delighted by how quickly things have come along.
So, by the way, shout out to the Vaush stream. I think the Vaush Army, I think that they might be here with us.
Yes, they are. They are currently here with us. They are enjoying this tremendously, I think.
And there's an interesting, I just letting people know if they want to read more about you. There's an interesting little bio on the YouTube fandom page about you. I don't know. I just Googled you.
Wait, is there? How negative is it?
No, it's actually not bad. There's probably a rational wiki about you, I think.
That one's mixed.
Was
They've
probably
got mixed
mixed
opinions on me. Yeah.
Yeah. So you appeared on The Fallen State with Jesse Lee Peterson this past fall. And first, before we get into this thing, what did you think about Jesse and his fans?
Okay, so I'm gonna be perfectly forthcoming with you. All right, Jesse is hilarious. I think we can all agree on that. I think there's a certain cadence the man carries,
yeah,
which is almost otherworldly. Political opinions wise, I think he's reprehensible. I am disgusted by his general political predilections. But having met the man in person, he is so gosh darn charming. You know, I can't help but smile when I think of my having met with him.
That's nice. Right on. Let me ask, are you a genuine person? You consider yourself a genuine person?
Yeah, I market myself on my authenticity, I think. I have very little filter, which is one of the reasons I get in trouble so often. Yeah, I would like to think like pretty much everything I say is guaranteed to be like stream of consciousness, what I believe in that moment.
And then are you a passionate person?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I can sell that one easy. Yeah.
Can you be both genuine and passionate? Because people that get passionate, they tend to like, the reason I bring this up is because I've seen you be genuine and then I'm not so sure sometimes, and then I've seen you get passionate and then also dispassionate at times, which is a good thing to be able to do both, I guess.
Yeah,
but
I mean, everyone's passion falters sometimes. Nobody can be passionate 100%. I mean, that's exhausting, you know. I'd like to think I'm genuine pretty much all the time. The only times I've ever disingenuous is when I think I'm being, when I'm trying to sell irony hard enough that I believe the average person would be able to tell I'm joking.
Okay.
But beyond that, I'm always trying to sell what I think is the truth.
The other reason I brought this up is because when I was thinking about the question, like, is it possible to be genuine and passionate, is because I grew up Christian. I don't know if you did. I know you're atheist now. Agnostic. Wow. Did you grow up in the Pacific Northwest?
No. I grew up in California. Actually, both of my parents were raised Catholic before they eventually became atheist as well. So I'm one generation removed from a religious upbringing.
Did they become atheists prior to you? Atheist
they
agnostic?
Did, yes.
Okay.
It was before I was born.
Okay. Interesting, man. Yeah, there are I know a lot of friends Hispanic friends, especially around here, who consider themselves recovering Catholics, meaning that they're basically, they didn't like the guilt. I imagine it's exhausting. My father would tell me stories. He was actually training to be I forget the Catholic term. Is it priest or pastor? He was training to be one of those. Catholic priest, probably.
Yeah. Before I was born, back when he was in his 20s, I think, when he was going to university, he was going to go the full thing, like go to university for theology, and then get a master's in like Christian studies, and then go and be a priest. And he told me, you know, it's exhausting, the moral weight that's placed on your heart. So I sympathize.
You know, there's a guy, a liberal, who appears on, I'm blanking on his name. He appears on Mar a lot. He is kind of a snarky guy. I'm blanking on his name. Jesse Lee Peterson has debated him a couple of times. But
is he young? Nick Fuentes?
No. He's an ex. I don't know if he's still his parents, one was a priest and the other was a nun.
Ooh.
Anyways.
Wait, nuns can't marry. Nun?
I guess they repented of being priests and nuns and or recanted.
Okay. I mean, getting the you know, the whole life experience in, I guess.
But part of like why I asked about genuine versus passionate is there was a guy who was with Jesus, Saint Peter.
Yeah.
He wasn't saint back then. He was a very passionate follower of Jesus, and he was like, I will stand with you, whatever. And then, but there was something genuine in him, even though he was passionate. Mm-hmm. But he was like, I'll stand with you. And Jesus is like, you're going to deny me 3 times before the cock crows. And then like Peter's like, I don't know the man, when they cornered him and they were about to crucify Jesus. So it was just interesting question to me.
No, of course. And you know, really, I think what matters ultimately is what you're passionate about. Because some people are passionate about a cause. Some people are passionate like about a person or defending themselves. Some people are very self-interested in that sense. I'm passionate, I think, just very broadly in trying to make the world a better place, or at least giving people ideas that maybe will help them make the world a little bit of a better place. And I think that passion requires a lot of introspection, because there are a lot of people out there who think they're making the world a better place, when in reality, they're making it a horrible place to live in. You have to be careful. You have to be cautious with those ideas.
You know, you brought up Jesse and how whatever you think of his views in person, he's just, you called it charming. It's like nice to be around. Mm-hmm. this guy Scott Adams on Twitter, he's the Dilbert creator. Now he's like a Trump supporter.
Yes.
He tweeted that it was his Fallen State interview was his favorite interview in years because just being around Jesse, the energy, he's like, is it love? Because like when you are in the room with Jesse Lee Peterson, it's like, so I don't know. He just really liked Jesse's energy. It's interesting.
I don't know. I mean, he definitely has a pretty what would you say, commanding presence, indefatigable confidence in his opinions, which I respect. You know, I think people should be confident in what they have to believe.
Yeah.
I enjoyed my time in the studio very much. I hope I can come back again. You know,
Right
not
on.
the last time I'm going to be there in LA.
You suggested, speaking of Jesse Lee Peterson, that pro-Trump black conservatives are working against their own interests.
Mm-hmm.
And you're white. Most whites believe that conservatism and nationalism are for white interests. So aren't you, as a white, you're kind of liberal, right? Working against your own interests?
I'm leftist. I don't know if I would say most whites believe that nationalism and conservative values are the way forward for white people. I would disagree with them. Even if they were to believe that, I would argue with the principles or sort of the arguments they would have to make that case. Whether or not whites believe that is immaterial to whether or not that's actually like factually the case. For example, like there are black conservatives who they'll come up to me and they'll be like, I'm black. Who are you to tell me about my black experience? I say conservatism is the way forward. And nah. I strongly disagree. And I'll say that to their face too. I want good, solid arguments, not just people's general predilections. And I think that conservatism hurts everyone, not just, non-white people.
So, but blacks have gotten worse over time since they've gone more and more towards the socialism thing. They've gone, I don't know, they're just more unhappy than ever.
Have we gone towards socialism?
Yeah, definitely. Especially the blacks. They have that socialist mindset.
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if the black people are any closer to collective means of production, ownership of the means of production than they were 50, 60 years ago. I would say that the black situation has gotten worse since the abolition of Jim Crow laws, but that's not because they were abolished. That's because other institutional obstacles were introduced in between now and then, ways of discriminating against them without having it on the books.
Interesting, man. I don't know. I don't see it as, when I say socialism, I mean that they believe in that socialism stuff. They fall for the Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama, and all that mess, where it's just about getting taken care of, or so-called taking care of the poor, which is female-minded thinking. They don't really think like logical men. It's like you guys, the leftists, want to take care of everybody like you're their mother. Like you want to take their guns, or at least like have stuff in place to protect them from their guns and stuff like that. It's so messy.
So a few points on this. Taking care of the poor is a Christ-like mentality. If you believe it's womanly, then that's a tremendous compliment to women. I consider myself, whenever I'm advocating for the poor, very, very Christ-like in that sense. And I think my areligiosity doesn't come in between me and my principles in that respect. Secondly, I should say I am very pro gun ownership. And when I speak of socialism, I don't talk about the government taking care of anybody. When I talk about socialism, I'm talking about giving people the tools to stand up for themselves and live honest, decent, respectable lives where their hard work begets them the fruits of their labor. Not some nanny state, not some corporate welfare. And likewise, Obama was not a socialist. Obama was a milquetoast, centrist, neoliberal.
He had to pretend to be that. He had to pretend to be that.
He didn't advocate for any socialism. I mean, Obamacare was the only radical piece of legislation he got around, and that was a Heritage Foundation plan. That was drafted by conservatives.
That's a shame.
If he was a socialist, he did a terrible job of it.
So anyways, let's jump forward. Your very first video on your channel, Enlightened Centrism with spaces between every letter. That, you suggested that centrism, is this true? Because I read this, right? Is an effective form of stopping Nazism. Nazism? Is that true? Or did YouTube Fandom get that wrong?
I think that centrism is an ineffective way of stopping Nazism. And
Oh,
in fact, I believe centrist viewpoints are often a way of abetting and enabling neo-Nazi perspectives.
okay. Interesting. Yeah. Okay. So that must be all right because a lot of people call, the liberal media, right? They call people like Ben Shapiro alt-right sometimes. They slip and call Ben Shapiro alt-right because he's like a gateway to actual conservatism. Is
I
that
mean,
what you're getting at?
I'd say he is like actual conservatism. I don't think he's alt-right. Alt-right basically means neo-Nazi. You know, when people say like alt-right, we mean like far-right fascist nationalist or white nationalist, Jewish question, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Ben Shapiro obviously doesn't believe in the Jewish question. He's a Zionist and he's pro-Israel, and he himself is a Jew. There have been Jewish Nazis, but they're not as common, of course. I don't think that he's alt-right. I just think that he's a fascist. I'm not settled on Reverend Peterson. He might be alt-right. It's a little difficult to suss out his opinions sometimes when it comes to that stuff because he's very pronounced sometimes with his beliefs. I think it's important to maintain that distinction though because the difference rhetorically between a fascist and a neo-Nazi is pretty significant.
Okay. What is a fascist?
A fascist, because it's like a politically incoherent, like fascism isn't like socialism. Socialism was brought in the books before it was ever brought to power. Fascism is sort of like an invocation of people's political frustrations. It's defined by a collection of political tendencies, stuff like far-right nationalism, misogyny and chauvinism, war worship, the belief that you have to unify against a constant threat, adulation of an imagined past, the unification of people under an ethnic homogeneous group, just that sort of stuff. There's like a very in-group, out-group feel to it. Sometimes it's a little hard to pin down, but you can tell when people are acting fashy if they talk for long enough.
Oh, I heard that you called, correct me if I'm lying, PragerU and Turning Point fasci organizations.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, easily. More so PragerU than Turning Point. Turning Point still pays lip service to libertarianism, which is in its roots, but PragerU is 100% fascist propaganda. Yeah, easily.
So, aren't you making fascism sound more palatable by calling them that?
To fascists, maybe, yeah. If anyone watches like a PragerU video and agrees with it, I would say they probably lean towards fascistic tendencies. I think there are a lot of fascists in America, and there always have been, at least over the past century. I don't think it's like a particularly special designation. If people find those political opinions attractive, then I think that says more about them than it does my categorization.
Is it true that, Time Magazine, did they honor Hitler and then that guy who stayed president for way longer than 2 terms, FDR,
Yeah.
wasn't he like pro-fascist? Is that true?
Roosevelt?
Yes, Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
I
thought he was a fan of Hitler, and before this bad stuff came to light, I guess.
Before the war. There are okay. If that's the case, I'm not familiar with it. I know that Roosevelt was a capitalist, which is also not great. I don't know if he was ardently in favor of fascism. I thought he was rather left-leaning as presidents went at the time. If that's the case, though, I'm not familiar. I'd need to look it up to clarify.
All right. All right. Interesting. How is PragerU fascist?
I mean, the best example I can give is the last video they put, not the last, it was one of the last videos they put out on the Enlightenment. They actively rejected Enlightenment principles of reason, egalitarianism, democracy. It's often said that socialism is a promise to fulfill the Enlightenment, whereas fascism is a rejection of the Enlightenment. And what PragerU was doing was actively advocating for social traditionalism, which is a common cry for fascism: anti-reason, anti-democracy, anti-logic, anti-egalitarianism. That's a pretty easy call right there. Dennis Prager has written articles on why spousal rape shouldn't be illegal. They've done videos on how, actually there is no oppression experienced by women and the blacks in America. They're pretty fascist, pretty easily leaning that way.
All this fear mongering about the war on women and stuff, and liberals and there are liberal Christians who agree with you about Jesus being about so-called taking care of the so-called poor. It is like a female thinking, but it makes women more miserable. Women are more miserable than ever, at least as far as I understand it today, under feminism running the country and people's mindsets, than they were back under the so-called fascist times.
Oh, I don't think that pre-1960s America was, well, maybe it was a little fascist.
Or whatever you want to call it, the misogynist
right.
times, right?
Everyone is more miserable today, not just women. The general attitude towards the world has gotten distinctly negative over the past 30 or 40 years. I don't think that's because of fascism. I think that's because of worsening economic circumstances, a destruction of common culture as a value, and probably also for men and women specifically, if we want to look at gender, probably a breakdown, an atomization of the social dynamic that used to sort of manage how people interact for relationships or for marriage. I think we need to replace the old system because what we have now clearly isn't working.
No, we need to go back to the old system.
Oh, I didn't like the old system very much either. In fact, I despise it. I'm a marriage abolitionist. I don't like this stuff.
But you didn't really experience a proper version of the old system, so you don't know.
Oh, well, I didn't personally, but personal experience isn't a good way to come to political conclusions. I have theory, I can read textbooks, but what if I had a really, crap marriage? What if I had a really amazing marriage? There's too much bias from my personal experience to determine what is or isn't a valid data point to extrapolate to society in general.
So let me get to, I think you guys... you are concerned about Nazis, right? So-called Nazis, neo-Nazis. By the way, how come you guys call them Nazis and neo-Nazis when they don't call themselves that? They're like the poor neo-Nazis, as you guys call them. Mm-hmm. They don't get to be defined by what they call themselves. Everybody else gets to define what they call themselves, except for the so-called neo-Nazis. Isn't that oppressive?
Well, it depends on the reasons why you're calling yourself what you call yourself. When a trans woman says they're a woman, it's because they're a woman. They're not playing around with language there. They're just following the generally accepted academic definition of gender. When a Nazi calls themselves an identitarian, a white nationalist, an alt-righter, a paleo-conservative, a Catholic nationalist, or whatever term they come up with themselves, what they're doing is deliberately obfuscating the conversation by redirecting people's perceptions of their political beliefs, when in reality, they all hold nearly identical political beliefs. It's deliberate political obfuscation, not a sincere attempt to find a term for self-identification. But some of these Nazi types will switch the terms they call themselves like 3 times a year. It's crazy.
Well, the problem is that the so-called Nazis and the so-called neo-Nazis and the alt-right have been so smeared and falsely maligned over the years, especially recently. I don't know about huh?
Would you call yourself alt-right?
No, I think I'm more like alt-light. How about you? Are you alt-light?
I mean, I'm a socialist and an anarchist, so no, I'm probably not alt-light.
But there's a lot of anarchists who turned alt-right.
If there are, I haven't met any ones who could make a decent case for anarchism. No, if I'm alt-light, I'm very, very alt-light. I'm the lightest alt there is around. No, I think these people are disgusting. But I think I fairly characterize their views. I don't think I misrepresent.
No, I'm talking about in general, the people, because Nazi, let's face it, the term Nazi is like the worst thing that you can call somebody. I mean, somebody joked that the N-word for whites is Nazi, I think on one of your streams.
Well, the difference is for the N-word, you're impugning someone for their race. And when you call someone a Nazi, you're impugning someone for being a genocidal maniac.
But people aren't. But most people today that are called Nazis, they're not genocidal. They're not for.
That is what the Nazis said too. What you have to do, you can't just take them at their face. Well, you can't take them at their face value. What you have to do is look at their policies and the practical implications.
Yeah,
so for example, if you believe in a white ethno-state, for example, if you want a white America, you can do 2 things with this. You can either kick all the non-white people out, or at least a significant majority of them, or you can place eugenics policies on them to prevent them from breeding, so whites eventually outbreed them. Both of these meet the technical qualifications for genocide. There's no other way to bring about a white ethno-state.
But I haven't heard most of these guys advocating for kicking these people out or for or birth control or whatever. In fact, that's what the globalists want to do. The people that so-called fight against Nazis, they advocate for abortion like crazy.
Yeah, abortion
and
is
homosexuality and all that madness.
Abortion is a free choice.
Free choice for only for the woman.
Abortion
only for the woman.
Well, only for the person with the baby. Yes.
And that's evil.
You can think that, yeah.
No, it's not just thinking. It is evil.
Clarify. There's a pretty big difference between promoting the availability of abortion if you want to have it and forcing abortions on an ethnic community.
And nobody is advocating for that. Not one of these people want that.
I have argued with those people who want
that. Name one of them for me. Name one.
Like of the random people I talk to, or the
name like a leader.
Political
name
figures?
Like a leader. Yeah.
Oh, I guess Nick Fuentes would be a good example.
He wouldn't be for that. He's Catholic. He's pro-life.
Are we? Okay, so he would just kill them or kick them out. If he's
he wouldn't be for that. You're making up what he's about. That's evil.
No, so I think, and here's my concern, and this is the concern I reach when I talk about these positions. It's that they will go on talking about prescriptive positions like we need a white America, America's for whites, China for Chinese people, Africa for Africans, so on and so forth. They'll talk about how blacks are lower IQ and how race mixing is degenerate, and how like white women are being like raped by the black males and what have you. And they'll talk about it like we're at war. A lot of them believe the Jews are orchestrating this war.
Right.
And then they say, and you go into their forums, race war now, gas the kikes, kick these people out, white America now. And you think, what exactly are these people going to do if they take power? Are they going to passively and calmly pass policies to slightly adjust cultural values in this country? No. People have taken power before using this exact rhetoric before, and they did what the Nazis did. You don't get into power advocating for genocide. You advocate for your culture and for your race until you have enough political capital to seize control of whatever political structure you have in your country, and then you do the genocide. If they want their policies enacted so badly, I don't know why they're so bad at arguing them with me, because every time I get one of these people in front of me, they pretend to argue policies for about 20 minutes, lying and backpedaling every time I expose a hypocrisy, until eventually they just start sputtering the N-word and telling me that they're going to gas the kikes and leaving the call. Every time I talk to these people, every single time. So if I have an uncharitable opinion of their views, it is only because I have seen nothing but pathetic, degenerate, abject immorality from them every time I engage. Again, just my experience and everything I've seen of them and all the research that corresponds to them.
But you're not a good judge of immorality. And you just didn't give me any evidence that these guys would be actually for that. You just speculated about, because of these guys supposedly did this back then, that's what these guys are going to do now. Yes, there are a whole lot of evil. I'll admit there's a whole lot of evil people in the alt-right that are angry, and then they may come up with bad solutions like what you're describing. But I have not seen evidence of that. And yes, you can see the gas the kikes stuff, which is, I don't know, I see it sometimes as trolling, and sometimes they're just evil, angry people. They're overreacting to the attack on whites.
Well, then they are free to come and argue with me, because every single time I engage with these people, it reduces down to genocide ad nauseum every single time. And it is not the prerogative of wise people to argue positions when your standard for evidence is a Nazi saying, actually, no, I wouldn't do a genocide, which is also what they did in Germany. We have to be a little bit more skeptical when we analyze their positions and the consequences of their positions than just listening to their word on it, because they have been known to lie. Look,
and just like everybody else, just like your side, just like the so-called centrists, we both hate the centrists.
The centrists absolutely lie. But no, in my case, at least specifically, I'm very forthcoming with every position.
I know, but you just came up with something that's totally not true. You suggested that Nick Fuentes is for a genocide that he's not for.
Is Nick
You're just
Fuentes
assuming.
For a white ethno-state?
You're ASSUMEING. No, skip the E, right? of Nick Fuentes. And I'm not even like that big of a fan of Nick Fuentes. I just know a little bit about him. But he's Catholic. He wouldn't be for that.
I mean, he's a Holocaust denier. I don't think it's entirely
Right. That wouldn't that be encouraging to
possibility.
you that he's a Holocaust denier? That means that he's happy that they didn't get killed, and he wouldn't be for them getting killed.
Wait,
again.
just wait. Just to be.
Wouldn't that
just to
be
perfectly
encouraging
clear.
to you?
Wait. Just to be perfectly clear.
Yeah.
Just so I can know what tone this discussion is taking.
Yeah.
Did you just seriously advocate that a person being a Holocaust denier is evidence that they are a better person than they would be if they were not a Holocaust denier?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to.
But I'm
clarify
saying
that,
I'm
because
asking
you just
you.
said some really stupid shit.
It's not stupid because a whole lot of people, it's a growing number of people believe in flat Earth. They believe the moon landing never happened. Some people believe in climate change. Some people don't believe in climate change. Everything is in question amongst Zoomers,
Most of these
especially.
anti-science positions are being taken by conservatives, yes.
But that's irrelevant.
With the possible
the point
exception
is,
of anti-vaxxers. That might be more of a hippie thing.
yeah, the point is, everything is in question amongst people your age and younger, and maybe my age and everybody else and younger. So this whole thing about the fact that Nick Fuentes may or may not be a Holocaust denier, I haven't seen evidence that he is or isn't, to be honest. I see evidence that he's like, he's leery about the story, but this whole thing, you're acting like it makes him a horrible person, when in reality it just means that he's not for it. It means that he's not for it.
No. When people are Holocaust deniers, it's not because they're relieved at the idea that Jews weren't experiencing the horrors of the Holocaust.
Does it mean that they're for it?
It's because they believe the Jews are deliberately orchestrating an international conspiracy to inflate the death toll at the Holocaust so they can use it to guilt whites into giving away their rights.
And what does that have to do with wanting a genocide, though? Because you're saying that Nick Fuentes wants a genocide, and you mentioned him being so-called Holocaust denier.
I said Nick Fuentes is a white nationalist, and that white nationalism can only be enacted through genocidal policies.
All right, do you think that whites are being genocided now?
No.
Why has this diversity thing that's been pushed on white countries been a positive thing?
Well, hold on. I take issue with your framing. What do you mean pushed on white countries? The world has gotten more progressive. Whites and non-whites have both come to the decision that we should probably be a little more progressive generally.
And has that made positive progress on these countries?
Unquestionably, yes.
How so?
Because it has led to a rapid advancement in the rights and well-being of almost every demographic that wasn't already in a position of hegemonic power in America. Now, I can't speak to China or India, for example. Those countries have very, very different, like, racial and gender climates, and I'm not researched enough on those.
But all of
statements.
All of the races have become more and more degenerate. They've gotten worse. Whites have gotten worse. Blacks have gotten worse.
Degeneracy.
You don't believe in degeneracy?
When I think of degeneracy, I think of racism or sexism or transphobia, real immorality.
Those don't exist. Those aren't immoral.
Right. I would consider you to be a degenerate then, because when I think of degeneracy, I think of people who want to hurt people or make people's lives worse.
But that's not wanting to make lives worse, to deny that racism is real and a problem and stuff like that. When you think of
degeneracy, you think of like two men consensually engaging in a relationship with one another.
No, I'm not just talking about that. That's an example. It's an example. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So your version of degeneracy is hating people for who they are.
No, that's not hating people. You're assuming that it's hate. You're assuming that that's hate. You don't know what a hate is.
When rights are taken away from the oppressed, it is not.
They're not oppressed, and that's not a right.
It is not particularly relevant whether you do so out of hate or out of some twisted, abject idea of morality.
You're the one twisted, man. For believing that we're hateful, for believing that right is right and wrong is wrong.
That's not what you believe. What is right exactly? Hateful for what? What policies do you want to enact?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Because the abstraction of your values is the only way you can keep from coming off.
No, tell me what's hateful.
What policies would you enact?
No,
You're
that's
the
not
president
hateful.
Of the United States of America.
Those people
what would
are
you
getting.
Do about gays?
The gays are getting worse because you're kissing up to them.
What would you do? I'm the gays. I'm kissing up to myself. Thank you. What would you?
You're
do
not a real
if you were
gay.
The president.
When did you become so-called gay?
It It's been a little while. I mean, I don't know if you want to go through my text logs or my Tinder matches, but I promise you that I have the creds. You know, I have the ID card.
But
If
you're
you were
living with a woman, right?
Yeah, sure. Oh,
You're pan.
Dude as a roommate, of
You're
course.
pan.
Yes, I'm pan. But well, hold on. I will say this. I didn't know you knew the distinction. Yes, I'm pan. Yes, I have sex with men and women.
Oh.
And everyone else. If you were the president of the United States of America with full control over the legislative and judicial bodies, what would you do about gay people?
I would get rid of gay marriage for sure. That wouldn't count.
So that is what
So-called
I would
marriage.
consider to be hateful, discriminatory
No.
behavior.
The hate
Right.
is increasing with the embracing of an illusion of what's right. That's not real love.
Remember when
You don't even know what love is.
Remember when I said
Yeah.
that I want to make the world a better place, and that's sort of the broad prescriptive judgment.
Female
that I
thinking.
make. Making the world a better place
Yeah.
is female thinking.
Right.
So every technological advancement, every statesman,
Mostly by men.
Well, were they thinking in a female way?
They weren't thinking about, I want to make the world a better place.
I promise you that if you go back through the ledgers and logs of great statesmen and inventors, you will find many of them were motivated by the betterment of the world.
All right. Let me get to a call. I have a call for you.
Are you unironically advocating for keeping the world as it is or making it worse? Like just as a
I'm for making it. I'm for doing what's right, not for this fake.
Is it right to make
I
the
want to kiss
world
up to the
worse?
gays because they want to act like they want to get married when they actually don't. You're
It's
for the
female
abolition of
thinking.
marriage.
Well, that's female thinking of you because you want to make the world better
No,
by
doing
getting rid
what's
of
right.
gays.
Doing what's right is. I mean, yeah, you could
Isn't
say
it
I'm not a
making the world
full
better
on
to do what's
man
right?
yet. Let me get to some
Is a
calls.
full-on man someone who just wants to burn the world? I don't understand. Yeah, get the call. Sorry.
All right, Will out of California. Will, how are you?
Hey, how's it going, James?
Going fine.
I forgot. I'm sorry. I
Vaush.
tuned in kind of late. I didn't catch
His
I
name
didn't
is
catch your
Vaush.
guest's name.
Vaush.
Vaush?
Yeah.
Howdy.
Oh, hey, how's it going, Vaush? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing all right. You said a couple of things about the America First coalition, and I believe they were a couple of them were categorically false. You said that white nationalists are for a white ethno-state in the America First movement. Is that what I heard correctly?
I would love to hear my 87th of this week definition of what white nationalists want. Yeah, go for it. What do you specifically?
That's I understand what white nationalists want, but you're claiming that, say, like a guy like Nick Fuentes is a white nationalist?
Well, Nick Fuentes used to openly advocate for it, but when his channel got bigger, he started saying he was actually for like white identitarianism, and then he would go for like neighborhood ethno-states, where he believes that people have the right of free association to live exclusively
He
in
was
white
also
neighborhoods.
17, 18,
Right.
19.
Yeah, he's backed off his earlier positions because he knows that if he expressed his true positions, he would get axed off
But
YouTube
you're
faster.
assuming
Well,
that you act like you're a mind reader. Anyway, go, Will.
Sorry. Well, the understanding that I got from it is if you look at the first census that was taken in this country in 1790, it'll show that the country was 75% white, 25% black. And that is what this America First coalition is talking about. We're talking about coming back to that ethnic identity. And it's not a white identity. Black people were here for the same amount of time, too. So
this
isn't
is an ethno-state. You're describing creating a state that has an ethnic requirement.
That's what these other people are doing, the ones that are trying to bring diversity in here.
It's not necessarily
Forced diversity on the
basing
whites.
it off ethnic lines. You're looking at it from the you're looking at it from the opposite point of view. You have to.
No, I'm looking at it from the definition of ethno-state. If you want to argue an ethno-state is fine.
Yes.
Huh?
You can also appreciate your race. You can also appreciate your heritage.
I don't care about people's
lineage.
race. I care about their personality,
I know,
culture,
but
their
some people
moral
do.
righteousness.
I don't care about certain things that you care about. And I'm not here saying, oh, you can't do this, you can't do this. And that's where
you can make arguments for me to care about them.
You're
though.
making comparisons to Hitler. We don't want to enforce anything on you.
Okay, so wait, really quickly. Wait, I have a question for you. Okay.
Yeah.
So acknowledging the fact that a 75% white, 25% black America, if we were to specifically pursue such a thing, would by definition be an ethno-state because you are creating a state which has an ethnic requirement. You're creating a state
where did
by
I say-
ethnicity.
where did I say
Wait,
that
wait, wait,
that's the
please! I can't
requirement?
argue the definition of
Where did I say
ethnicity.
that's
If
the
you don't
requirement?
know the definition, that's fine. I'm not here to educate you. I'm not your teacher. But I do have a question for you. I am here to learn from you, Sensei. And my question is, how exactly would you create such a state without using genocidal violence?
I'm telling you, we're not trying to. You have to continue to put words into our mouths.
So you don't want
that's
what
what
you
he's
want.
doing.
That kind of mistake. That's unrealistic. We're not. We're speaking. We're in the pragmatic. We
Then
aren't.
what do you
we aren't-
want?
we
What
aren't talking
pragmatic
about-
policies?
We are talking about all these utopian principles, these utopian ideas that aren't going to happen.
I haven't
We
said
are
anything
realistic.
utopian. Please, what policies would you enact?
Your whole life, everything. Oh, you're a leftist, right?
Every policy that I discuss is empirically, verifiably functional. I'm happy to discuss each and every one of you. I don't engage in utopianism anywhere in my channel. What policies would you want to
I don't
enact?
know you personally, so maybe that was a little forward.
No, it's okay. What
but
policies? What policies?
I don't know. I told you I don't listen to you. I don't know what policies.
No, what policies would you enact?
What he's asking, Will, real quick. I'll give you 30 seconds. What do you want?
As like to create
What
your
do I
America.
want?
What would you do?
Yeah.
Well, if you look at the black population, we've been here for about
No. Say
500
what you want. Say what you want to happen.
Right. I want people to appreciate where they came from, understand where they came from, and know where they came from. Their heritage,
policies?
their traditions, their lineage. I don't want people to lose that.
So you
All
don't
right,
want
Will.
any policies. You have no political ambitions for the America First movement whatsoever. There's absolutely no interest whatsoever in affecting the political decisions made by the leaders of this country.
Well, yeah, what do you mean? Why?
No, Will, I gotta
my
go,
God.
man.
Every time I talk with these people, what policies? You can't express what policies because there's no way to do it without advocating for genocide.
Thanks,
there's
Will.
no way to deport
No. Okay.
Will, thanks, man. I'll
I
talk
love
to
you.
you.
right,
You know
sorry.
I love you, right? I love you, man. Hey, peace. Homie, respect. Real, recognize real. That's every conversation I have with these people, by the way. They can't discuss policies. They're too cowardly because they know to do so, they would have to trip over some, Geneva Convention problems.
I know a lot of them think that America is gone because they think it's too late for whites to keep a majority of their country. They're not making
why
enough
the
babies and stuff.
Why would I
Anyways,
care about whites keeping a majority of
well,
this country.
that's what they care about.
True. That is true. They do care about
And the reason they care about it is because whites, I mean, I can understand why they think about it, because whites are the main demographic that, as a majority, a slight majority, votes for sanity. The rest of everybody else votes for liberalism. I mean, not the rest, but
do you
a
think
huge
they're-
majority, everybody else votes for liberalism.
That's actually, unironically, one of the reasons why I value diversity, because the more racial diversity there is in this country, the less likely we are to become a fascist ethno-state.
Yeah, it's
almost like a
anti-justice.
wall.
Most people are
democracy-
anti-justice.
Democracy
They're
accounts
for
for the
themselves.
values and the votes of everyone in this country. The
Selfishness.
non-whites in this country vote for everyone. The whites have a tendency to vote just for whites.
That's
It's
the
very
it's the
immoral.
opposite, man.
Very un-Christ-like, I have to say.
You don't know Christ. Not
Oh,
that
I know Christ.
All right.
I mean, you're the one who characterized him as maybe allegedly being pro-poor. I'm pretty sure I'm in line with Christ's values. On this
I know,
one,
but there's
pro-immigrant.
nobody poor in this country. Anyways, let me get to Gus out of Pennsylvania. I have a ton of
Oh, what a-
questions, and I want to
what a
get to
religious
the
man.
incel question for you too. Gus
love
out of
incels.
Pennsylvania,
Yes,
go for it.
yes. I want to speak to the
Keep it
man
clean
that
for me,
claims
Gus.
to be a homosexual.
Keep it
Yeah,
clean
what's
for
up?
me.
I claim I live it. I live the life,
Hey,
comrade.
hey,
What's up?
Gus, keep it
Well,
clean for me.
let me tell you something, sir. You cannot be claiming to be a politician, or you can't even claim to be anything because you're a lunatic. There is no way that a human adult male is going to walk around with that type of behavior, messing around with feces.
Oh
You
man,
understand?
that's too
You-
much for me,
you have
Gus.
to point that behavior.
That's, but I appreciate it. You brought it
that-
too.
hey,
That's too real for me.
I'm just
I
telling
just-
you.
I
I'm
just wanna
telling
say-
you,
No, Gus, I told-
person-
I can keep it
family
clean.
show.
I can keep it
no
clean. I just
person-
want to
All
say.
right.
Wait a minute,
I just want to say one
I'm
thing.
not finished, man.
Oh,
Can I
jeez,
finish?
you're right. I'm
All right,
sorry.
real
It's
fast,
rude
real
of me.
fast, Gus.
No person should be taken literal like you're taking this male here because he's a lunatic. Only a lunatic would be messing with fecal matter.
Dude,
on a
I just
regular
told you
basis
don't do
with
that.
regular partners.
I gotta go, Gus. I appreciate
Wait, can
you.
I say one thing to him?
Yeah,
If
say
he
it.
Can,
Go
yeah,
for
okay.
it.
I just want to say, I don't know why you're super insecure about like the butt thing, the butt stuff,
No,
but
I'm
I just
not
want to say,
super insecure.
I
Look up the fecal matter
love you,
disease.
and
I'm putting
a
on-
good America is one in which you and I are both happy and healthy. Okay, I advocate for your rights, no matter how weird you are about what I choose to do privately in the company of my friends.
It's not a choice. Gus, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Let me get to Jesse out of Texas. Jesse.
Straight people also have anal sex. I don't. Okay.
That's gross.
What's up, Vaush? What's up, Hank?
Yo.
Hey, good. Speak up close to your phone.
Yes, sir. Well, I really don't know much about Vaush.
That's all right.
Be trying to debate him and all that stuff. What I do want to comment is I'm not a Vaush fan. I've never seen any of his content except the Nick Fuentes video. Vaush, that was a great video because Nick Fuentes is, in fact, a hypocrite. No straight man spends as much time hanging out and defending someone like the Catboy Lollysocks guy. So everybody on the Nick Fuentes train, you're following a hypocrite. You're following somebody similar to Vaush's lifestyle, except that person does it in secret because there are pictures.
Jesse, that's messed up that you're like gossiping about this guy.
I just want to wait. Can we agree on one thing?
Yeah, you are. You're gossiping. You're speculating about his sexuality. That's wrong. I'm going to put you on hold, Jesse. I'm going to put you on hold.
You need to expose the snake.
No. I'm putting Jesse on hold. Respond to him, Josh.
No, I just want to say I agree that it is hypocritical. And I think that it is important for us to point this out.
What's hypocritical?
So that Nick Fuentes can be honest and open with his identity, and we can drop this nonsense homophobia that has claimed the minds of the degenerate right, so that we can all unite and live how we want to live and love who we want to love. That is what I believe in.
Appreciate it, Jesse. Thank you, man. Take care. You know, I'm not into whatever you guys are talking about. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, it's just a funny little piece of drama. There is one thing I want to say, and I think it harkens a little bit to my earlier point. It's that no matter what you believe in, there are certain inexorable truths about humans, and one of them is that some of us are just gay. And what really sucks is when you're a Nazi and it turns out, whoops, looks like I'm into dudes a little bit. And what I want is for that to be a wake-up moment for that person to think, oh my God, I thought that homosexuals were degenerates and destroying this country, but I'm one of them, and I disagree with everything about them. Maybe this is just part of life. It doesn't hurt anyone. That's the goal. I know it's never going to work, but I can dream that crazy dream.
Right, yeah. Degeneracy affects all people, and everybody has to get over it.
If you can empirically...
Bo, out of... Yeah. Okay, respond to that, because you wanted to...
If you can empirically describe to me how the existence of gay people hurts everyone, because I am deep in the literature on this, and I don't know if that's a convo you want to get into.
When I talk about degeneracy, I'm talking about all kinds of immorality.
I'll defend trans people, gay people...
that's nice. The LGBT stuff, that's one version of immorality. Anyways, Bo out of Santa Barbara, California. Bo, go for it.
Hey, what's happening, guys? Hey. I just want to come on the show. I know Hake, and I don't know your name, sir, but I'm listening to you.
Vaush. Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
Vaush.
Vaush. Nice to meet you.
What's up, man? Hey, I just want you to know that I'm not attacking you. I'm not mad at you. I'm a Christian. I'm white. I think that whites are totally under attack. Heterosexuals are under attack. Christianity is under attack. A true traditional Judeo-Christian ethic that this country was raised on is under attack. And that's where people are coming from, because we come from descendants from Europe that believe in God's word. And like when I was in my past and I was sleeping with women, that's not God's plan. That's just as immoral as somebody sleeping with a lot of men that's a man, or you know what I'm saying? So it comes from God's word that we believe what we believe. And I don't want your agenda forced on me. I don't necessarily want to force my agenda on you. And I just want a peaceful separation like this. I don't want someone coming into the schools telling the kids that it's okay to have a surgery, or there's many different genders, because, brother, the generation I grew up in, there was man and woman. And somebody came in and said that there's all kinds of different things. And I'm just like, what is going on here? So the problem is when you take away man and woman in God's design, it decays society, and it's over generations. And it doesn't matter if it's gay or you're just like married and sleeping with 5 women and you have a family. That'll do the family just as much damage as being gay, because it's outside of God's plan. It's not what God wants. So what's happening is that Christian ethics that a lot of us were raised on, even though we're all sinners, it's being taken from us aggressively. And it's like people are literally getting ready for civil war right now. You know, like 2 weeks ago, it was Trump's going to be impeached. We're going to lose our president. And then he vaporized someone in Iran. And I had to step away from the news. I was like, this is too much. This battlefield is too big for my head. I'm just a kid that's trying to live right. And you look at the media, and it's evil. People are just going at it with each other. And I'm looking at pre-Civil War America.
All right, Bo, let me get Vaush.
Wow.
Bo, let me get Vaush's response for this.
Yeah, I just want you to know that I love you, dude, but this is where I'm coming from.
Hey, listen, I love you too, and I respect your Volcel pledge with regards to women and sexuality or what have you.
Yeah.
I disagree with literally everything you believe in. I'm obviously not.
I believe it, and
obviously not what.
But I just want you to know, like, my politics also come from a place of compassion. It's true, things are changing rapidly, and sometimes that change leaves a lot of people feeling like they're in the dust. Sometimes it actually does leave them in the dust. I mean, the obvious example is the Rust Belt workers in this country, but I can understand how men or white folk or straight people sometimes feel like, oh my God, like you take a look at what's going on in schools these days, what's what educational
if I had kids,
are teaching.
they'd be pulled. They wouldn't be at public school at all.
But
nice.
things being different doesn't mean those things are bad or wrong. In this case, very often it means they're good. And while change is often scary and sometimes damaging.
And the reason I disagree is because the Bible says very clearly, if you step outside of these rules, there's going to be consequences. And that's not me threatening you. That's just me learning my lessons with God, and I'm repeating it to you so that you don't make the mistakes I made.
Yeah.
And
I can't.
You, dude. I really
Far
do.
be it for me to argue with God, you know.
Appreciate it,
if I
Bo.
ever convert, I'll keep it in mind.
Bo, thanks, man.
Hey, man, love you guys. Best of luck. Take care.
I love you. That guy was nice.
He was on The Fallen State as well. I recommend checking out.
In person, or he called in the radio show?
He was on The Fallen State, the sit-down interview show that you were on, where he showed up in person with another guy.
Gotcha. I'm sorry, really quickly. Your audio is really quiet for some reason.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. It just turned down a lot. Here, I can have it on my end.
All right, let me get to this. Look, let me get to some callers. Oh, man, I want to get to the incel thing. Kevin out of Connecticut.
Okay,
go for it.
Hey, I would like to ask your interviewer, what is his definition of fascism?
Yeah, okay, so here, man said it better than I could. So my definition of fascism...
You're saying Bo described it better than you could?
No, Umberto Eco did, actually.
Okay.
Umberto Eco and his 14 points on fascism, fascism, are where I derive my definition of fascism. I think they're incredibly descriptive. I think they're very powerful. He was one of the best writers.
But my question to you is, the person that you're getting your information from, is he a communist too, or no?
He's definitely left-leaning. If you'd like, we could sometime on stream. I don't know if you watch my stuff.
No, I don't really bother with social media with all that propaganda because they're just basically one-sided on there. My question to you is, what is your? I'm not talking about people's definitions or anything. I'm talking about what is your personal definition of fascism. I don't need anyone else's opinion or anything. I want your definition. No one else.
He described it pretty well earlier in the show.
Yeah. Okay. So my definition is derivative of Umberto Eco's. But if I had to be very reductive, I would say that fascism is a hyper-traditionalist, ethno-national movement dedicated to anti-intellectualism, chauvinism, promotion of warfare, and deliberate irrationality in the service of uniting your people against an imagined common threat to the ends of meeting the needs of some imagined past identity. So you can go for Trump's America, for example. Trump, very militaristic, very much so. The imagined past, have like the Make America Great Again. We've got like the 1950s America that everyone looks up to. The deliberate irrationality. I mean, Trump is obviously not a particularly well-educated man. His cult of fan base is not very, how do you say...
So Trump is an example of fascism to you?
Yes. Trump would be more fascistic than most American leaders, but it's a scale. It's not like a yes/no. It's a scale in either direction.
Anything else, Kevin?
So what you're saying is you're basing your definition off all this propaganda that you're spilling out of your mouth. You're saying that you love people and you care for them, right? But every time you open your mouth, you're spilling America hatred to your own fellow Americans. How do you think?
It should clarify. I love the people in America. I hate America.
You do? But
I'm an anarchist. I don't.
Of fascism
He
and
wants
Nazi
states
and all that with no leeway at all.
He doesn't want countries to exist.
How is that?
Yeah.
How is that love, my friend?
Well, I love the people, not the countries. Countries are cold, unthinking, unfeeling political machinations. I love people. I love you. You're a person. You're not a machine, my friend.
You love white people?
Yeah, I love all people.
No,
of course
no,
I love white people. I love white people. I love men. I love straight people. I love cisgender people. I love all people.
Thank you, Kevin.
I do not advocate for minorities to the detriment of the majority. Some people think I do. I've yet to hear a good argument.
All right, Kevin, appreciate it. I have to keep it going. Jack out of New York. Go for it. Jack. Let me get to Jason out of Dallas. Jason, go for it.
Yeah. Hey, how you doing, Vaush? I'm not really familiar with your content, but one of the reasons I disagree with homosexuality being everywhere and everything else related with homosexuality is because there's a lot of stats that a lot of homosexuals, the majority of them, have been victims of sexual abuse as a child, and therefore it causes a lot of confusion, which is why you got all these genders and you have all these different sexualities. My question for you, Vaush, is were you sexually abused? With all due respect. And I asked it with all due respect.
You don't have to answer that, Vaush.
No, it's okay. It's actually an amusing story. There was one moment in my life where somebody came close to sexually abusing me as a kid. It was like a neighbor's friend or whatever. But my big brain Vaush, I fought him. And turned it very much into an assault. I was doing the assault, in fact. No, I have never been the victim of sexual assault. Luckily enough, it's a tragic thing. It happens to a lot of people. I will say this, though. While it is undeniable that many people who are gay or transgender were abused as children, I don't think that necessarily causes it. The psychosocial research is very, very complicated. I'm not educated enough to understand it. However, whether or not that is the case, these people now exist, and I believe that as humans, they should be afforded the rights and the respect needed for them to live decent, dignified lives. Even if we assume that all trans and gay people were the product of sexual assault, which we know for a fact is not the case, I would still advocate for this.
Dignity would be overcoming it.
For you, perhaps.
Let me get quickly to Nick out of New York City, and then I want to get your 30 seconds on the incels. Nick, go for it. First time.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey.
Hey, this is I'm actually a fan of Vaush's.
Okay.
I'm also ironically a Christian, so I'm kind of got my feet in both.
Are you a pro-gay Christian?
Pro-gay. I don't want to get. I'd rather get to my.
All right. Go for it.
I don't want to be the.
Just curious.
It's actually for you, Hake. Earlier, Vaush mentioned that the struggle he has with people from Nick Fuentes' kind of side of things.
Yeah.
That they don't really talk a lot about policy. And so for you, Hake, I just wanted to ask, if you were the president, what kind of what would be some of the first things you would do beyond making, I guess you said gay marriage illegal, that you see as an ideal for America? And then I also just want to say, Vaush, big fan of you. I appreciate also just JLP in general, honestly, because he's making such a great place to have open dialogue with totally different types of people.
Thank you, Nick.
Yeah, I'm a fan of you too. So to clarify, what would I do policy-wise?
Well, yeah, you Vaush. I've watched your show. I watch it. So I would actually love to hear an answer from both of you, so you can kind of discuss with Hake's viewers. But I'd love to hear from both of you. What would you guys do? What are your priorities in terms of actually changing America, and where you see it going in the future?
Yeah, I can give my little 30 seconds.
Go for it.
So we need to, if I'm leading America, America needs to be strong. There's no denying that. America needs to secure economic independence and the ability to control other governments through broad transnational trade agreements. However, we can do this while simultaneously ensuring a transition to the collectively owned democratic means of production model, encouraging co-ops, adding subsidies. As for progressive rights, there's absolutely no denying that we should be advocating for the introduction of legislation or even Bill of Rights amendments that would lead to the securing of rights for oppressed minorities and what have you. Reparations to build up infrastructurally the inner city communities. A path to citizenship for the 11 million illegal immigrants in this country right now.
22.
That would just
30.
be a start. Yeah,
anyway.
That would just be a start. But we're gonna make America great again.
Interesting. I would resign and let Trump run it because he's doing just pretty much
come
right.
on. Give me a real answer, man.
I would close the borders, end immigration for a while if we can, and get rid of birth control. No more subsidizing this birth control stuff, and crack down on pornography and stuff like that. Because I think those are positive things. Those are things that would encourage the native population to start making babies again. Because the native, as they stay here, they stop making the babies, and then get rid of the education department. And stop subsidizing this stupid brainwashing that universities are doing, and stop giving this special treatment to the press. We can give special treatment to the American people because the American people are better at being the press, the real free press, than the so-called liberal media. And
like a speed run to making America worse.
No, it would be awesome. And then we would repeal this, these dumb Supreme Court things like abortion and same-sex marriage and stuff. And you guys can still live and do your little thing, but it's best to be getting over it rather than kissing up and teaching history about, oh, this person was gay, by the way, and all that mess.
A world where we're all gay.
Nasty. Anyways.
Well, I appreciate
thank you, Nick.
Putting some stakes in the ground.
Yeah, I appreciate you, man. All right.
Thanks.
We're kind of over. I want to talk to you more, but let's talk again, Vaush.
Yeah, of course.
What's your solution to the incel problem?
Incel problem. Okay, so right now there are a ton of lonely men. I think this is largely caused by social atomization as workplaces get more and more alienated, as we have a harder and harder time paying our bills, as our social spaces get more and more taken over by corporate-like spaces. It's harder to find places to make friends. People are trying online. Sometimes it works. Most of the time it doesn't work. We need to find ways to revitalize in-person interesting social spaces to get people on the path to making friends and finding relationships again. This needs to be a national priority. This is a huge problem.
Yeah. I appreciate you, Vaush. Thanks for coming on. And Vaush.gg, and subscribe to him on Vaush. Follow him on Twitter @VaushV. And let's see, was there anything else? Church with Jesse Lee Peterson. Tune in to Church with Jesse Lee Peterson, Vaush. I think you'd enjoy it. And are you voting for Trump in 2020?
Not voting for I'm a Bernie bro all the way. We're getting him.
Are you happy that Bernie made that? Are you happy that Elizabeth Warren and CNN made Elizabeth Warren look stupid?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm disgusted by the whole affair. You talk about fake news network. Holy crap.
Yeah.
No, that was disgusting. I want Bernie to be the primary candidate. I'm disgusted by Warren's behavior and CNN.
All right, Vaush. Thank you, man. Appreciate you. Take care.
Hey, have a good one.
You as well. All right, guys. See you in church with Jesse Lee Peterson, rebuildingtheman.com/church. Bond Rebuilding the Man YouTube channel. It's an excellent channel. It's the best. All right, guys. Take care.